Hello and welcome to JSB Talks Digital, the podcast for marketers, digital change champions, and those of you bringing your skills into the digital age. I'm Joanne Sweeney-Burke and this podcast is brought to you by Digital Training Institute. In this episode, I discuss draft legislation which would make it illegal for retail outlets to sell a mobile phone with internet access to minors under the age of 14. In social media news, you can now ask questions and vet people for Facebook groups. Are we getting closer to having YouTube Live on mobile for everyone? Instagram now allows posting outside the app. I interviewed Deputy Jim Daly, the Fine Gael TD responsible for the proposed Internet Access for Minors Bill 2017. In shoutouts, 3 digital citizenship tips to help you be an awesome cyberwise parent. Marie and Marie-Clare ask JSB and I answer their questions on air. In JSB's column, why legislate when we can educate our children about online safety? And find out what cyber safety tool will make your week.
Social media news.
How often have you found that non-relevant members join your Facebook group? Does this annoy you? Or do you think it creates a mixed message space for other members? Well, it seems that Facebook has been thinking along the same lines, as we can now screen new members with a questionnaire in groups. Group admins can ask up to 3 questions to people requesting to join the group, which can be used to vet new members. Facebook says this feature has now rolled out to 100% of group admins globally. If you are a group admin, you can find the Ask Pending Members Questions feature in your group's settings menu. You then have the option to create up to 3 questions that potential members can answer in up to 250 characters each. Only admins and moderators see the answers to the questions, which are not posted to the group. Previously, if an admin wanted to inquire about why someone wanted to join their group, they'd either have to friend them or try to send a Facebook message that would likely be buried in their message requests. YouTube is reportedly letting more people live stream from their mobile. However, it's not available to everyone despite mixed reports of same. The company is said to be dropping a requirement that users have to have more than 1,000 subscribers. I updated my YouTube iOS app this week and I noticed that it was renamed from YouTube Watch, Upload and Share Videos to YouTube Watch Videos, Music and Live Clips. Mobile live streaming allows users to go live from their smartphones in order to stream directly to their YouTube channel. This is a feature I'd love to have, as I'm so used to being able to do it on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Initially, mobile live streaming was open to those who had 10,000 channel subscribers or more, making it accessible only to YouTube's biggest content creators. Then in April, the company dropped that down to just 1,000 subscribers as it continued the gradual expansion of the service. So I've a bit to go yet. Don't forget you can subscribe to my YouTube channel by searching Digital Training Institute. Instagram has always demanded that we post images directly to their mobile app and not outside it. That's until now. When you go to Instagram.com on your mobile device, you can upload an image direct without having to open the app. Currently, it's still not possible to upload images from the desktop version of the website. This is a significant expansion for Instagram. While for most users opening the app is no problem, this is relevant for users in developing regions where there is greater growth opportunities. Instagram also recently announced a new offline mode, which enables users to browse and leave comments in areas with less reliable connectivity.
Interview.
A new bill that will make it illegal for retail outlets to sell a mobile phone with internet access to minors under the age of 14 is currently being drafted. Under the proposed Internet Access for Minors Bill 2017, it will also be illegal for parents to allow their children born after 2015 to own a portable device which has the internet. Fine Gael Deputy Jim Daly is the TD behind the bill, and he joins me on today's show to talk about his bill and the motivation behind it. But first, I went onto the streets of Galway to ask parents if they agreed with Deputy Daly's draft legislation.
I think it's an absolutely fantastic idea, and I think also that it should be the same for any Android or Apple device, like tablets and iPads and stuff like that as well. I do not think that children should be able to download any apps that can get them into any sort of trouble. So I think not allowing or introducing a legislation that will prevent children from under 14 buying phones is a fantastic step in the right direction, and I wholeheartedly support it.
Hi, Dolores Andrew Gavin from Irish Health Hour. My opinion on this topic is that we're actually growing up in a digital age, and children are growing up in this digital age because they have access to the internet in so many other places rather than just home. Although restricted access at school is one of the ways I'm referring to, they still have this access at school. Also, lots of children go to Coder Dojo's classes to learn all about how to make games, and they learn so many great tips from these classes that they attend. So it's hard really to ban internet use, but my opinion on it all is, and especially as a mom of a teenager, I prefer to educate my son rather than banning him. I bought him a book by an Irish guy, Wayne Denner, about 2 years ago now, and like he still refers to that book when I because I'm very aware of his digital footprint, because I work online myself all the time. I do reiterate a lot about his digital footprint. So my opinion, I prefer to educate rather than ban altogether.
I think if you ban something for young people, it just makes it all the more tempting to try it and find a way to get around the rules. And if there's one thing kids are good at, it's getting around the rules. So while parents might be ignorant in what their kids are doing online, I think the issue really is educating parents in internet safety and how to keep their kids safe online, rather than fining them when something has gone horribly wrong.
Hi Joanne, my name is Stephen McDonough. My daughter is 12, she has a mobile phone, she's a YouTube channel as well and access to the internet. I've set up all her accounts on all the platforms and I have admin control over all of them. Her YouTube channel is a gaming channel and is actually under an alias. It's not a real name. She doesn't use a real name on any of the on any platforms at all, so it's all an alias. I have access to her email and that's linked to my mobile phone, so I monitor all activity that comes in through all networks. She uses Musical.ly as well, so I kind of monitor all activity and comments. Comments are turned off on the YouTube channel and I monitor that. So I think this is the world that our children are growing up in. It's a digital age, it's a digital world, and it's the tools they're going to be using as they're going forward in the future. So I think instead of trying to ban them from it, because it's going to cause a disadvantage, I think, later on, I think why don't parents educate themselves on how to monitor and access the accounts and then teach their children how to be responsible. My daughter won't do stuff online. She knows her limitations, or she's told, she can't give out any personal information online. She can't give her name if anybody asks her. She uses sites like Roblox as well, but I monitor all that kind of stuff and I monitor all her movements online.
As a mother of 4 children, ages ranging from 19 to 8, I don't believe a ban on any digital device is appropriate. I believe we should educate in how to use the internet for good and how to protect them from anything that they might find there. It is a parent's responsibility up until the age of 16 to make sure that they're savvy and that they know the dangers that are there and that they are educated. It is not up to the state to bring in laws to ban these devices. We live in a digital world. Our children are exposed to it every day. We need to educate them.
Deputy Daly, you are very welcome to JSB Talks Digital. As you can hear from my podcast, there was a mixed reaction to your draft bill. First of all, tell us, what prompted you to work on the legislation?
I think in my role and capacity, Joanne, as chairperson of the Oireachtas Committee on Children and Youth Affairs, it's an area that I just determined at the very beginning of my chairmanship that I was going to look into and try and make a difference and try and make a change. I'm a parent myself to 6 children under the age of 13. So I'm somewhat familiar with the pressures that parents are under and how inadequate we feel as regards the peer pressure and the constant, everybody in my class has one, the normalization, if you like, of the whole online sphere. And, it's so hard to keep up with all the terminology. And yes, I am aware that there are several apps out there that protect to some degree. There's also filters you can put in your home, but they don't transfer across to when the child is down in Subway or down one of the local shops or supermarkets where they're accessing unlimited internet. So when you take time to stop and think and realise the levels we go to as a legislature to protect children from cigarette smoke inside in cars, we've made it illegal to smoke in a car to protect our children. Yes, you could say, how do you enforce that? The guards can't go around checking every car to see. We've made it illegal to slap children under the age of 18. Yes, we don't send the guards into the homes looking to see, if somebody's slapping their children or not. So this isn't about policing. This isn't about a nanny state. This isn't about the state involving in the rearing of children. It's about setting standards that we as a state would aspire to. And that's why I've included in this legislation points like where it's illegal to sell a device to an under 14-year-old without parental consent. So if the parent deems it okay for a child of 6 to have a device that gives them unlimited internet access and to all the wonderful things that are on the internet, but also the very, very harmful effects such as cyberbullying, gambling, pornography, grotesque violence, and so on and so forth. Like where I'm coming from there, Joanne, and I think a lot of the commentary and maybe people misunderstand what I'm trying to do here is, if my 7-year-old comes home from school shaking violently and I say to him, what's wrong? And he said, we were down behind the school shed and one of my friends had his phone and he was showing us an ISIS beheading on YouTube, somebody being beheaded. Well, then, somebody there has to have a degree of responsibility. You cannot hand one of these devices. I mean, otherwise it's a joke. Why do we have an over 18 rating on pornographic material when you hand a 6-year-old a device that can access unlimited pornography of all hue and cry? So there is a debate needed here, and we do need to create an awareness and set a standard that we as a nation aspire to. And, I saw on the national broadcaster there on RT over the weekend on the Ray Darcy show, some reference again to, this kind of thing of he wants to fine parents who don't supervise their children. It's not. That's coming at it from the complete and utter wrong angle. And it also was a reference to criminalising. Now, it's not criminalised. There's nobody being criminalised in this. You won't have a criminal conviction. I'm basically forcing awareness, forcing responsibility, and forcing people to sit up and take note that these devices have unlimited access to such a range of harmful material. And somebody somewhere has to make an effort to try and protect our children from this. And the only tool I have available to me as a legislator is legislation.
Do you think there's a separate argument, however, to be made for government responsibility when it comes to digital citizenship? So teaching children at primary level and at secondary level about the safe, savvy and ethical use of the internet?
Absolutely. And I mean, that debate has been made that, education versus enforcement. Well, I don't believe it has to be either or. I think it can be a combination of, by creating a law, you're putting into the statute a standard. And as I've referred to earlier, some of the laws in this country are utterly unenforceable, but we have them there as a kind of a standard bearer. But of course, education, of course, digital citizenship, of course, the government can do more. This isn't absolving the government of their responsibilities in this area. This isn't a seamless transfer of responsibility from the government over to parents. It's none of those things that it can be presented as. It's simply putting into our statute a regulation or a law which can follow from that some regulation in this area. And look, I don't have a monopoly of wisdom on the right thing to do, but I'll publish my bill. It will pass through the Houses of the Oireachtas for debate, and it's up to the other 157 TDs and 60 senators to decide whether there's merit in this proposal or not. And maybe it could be amended, it can be changed, maybe it can be scrapped. I don't know, but I'm certainly going to put this forward as a beginning. This isn't an end, it's just a beginning. And it's a start in this area. But I think we have left the area unattended to, and we have not begun any serious effort to try and deal with this particular threat that's being posed to our young children. And I, as chairman of the Oireachtas Committee on Youth Affairs, are determined to make a start on that.
Do you think that the draft legislation will effectively let parents off the hook when it comes to them taking responsibility about educating their children about cyber safety? Like, when it comes to parenting, we have a responsibility to teach our kids to be streetwise and how to cross the road. Surely the same can be said for teaching our kids to be cyberwise.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I really want out of this is ultimately I want to bring the manufacturers of these devices to the table and that they will start to create and produce child-friendly devices. I'm stunned that they don't. But also I want to tackle the issue of peer pressure, where when your 7-year-old comes home and tells you everybody in the class has one, or an 8-year-old who's getting their communion, I want to buy an iPhone or a smartphone with my communion money. I mean, this isn't about prohibiting people from the internet or young people from the internet. This is specifically aimed at mobile devices. This isn't about the desktop in the home. If you have a computer in the home or whatever, should that supervised, that's safe, there's parents around or whatever in the next room and all of that. This isn't about creating where a parent should be sitting down. It's basically where the parent can say to your child, you're actually now not allowed by law in this country, own a smartphone and be unsupervised. So if I do get you a smartphone for your communion, you have to, we have to be involved in what you're doing with it. I have to be aware of what you're doing. I have responsibility to ensure. So it's empowering the parent to take more of a role rather than feeling completely inadequate and saying, okay, well, if the other child seems to have a look, they're probably okay. I don't really know what's on that internet, and I don't follow the Snapchats and the Instagrams and all of those terms. I'm not sure how to keep up. And, I suppose basically they just feel more equipped.
Have you had much support from your cabinet colleagues, and what's their initial feedback?
Yeah, I've got an incredible amount of support actually from members and colleagues of mine who are in the cabinet. I'm not in the cabinet myself, but several of the ministers there have spoken to me about this and said, well done, this is something that's long overdue. The Minister for Children was one of the first to be very, very supportive of what I'm trying to achieve here. Now, the bill itself hasn't been published. I have effectively published heads of the bill, is what we refer to, which is kind of my indication of what will be in the bill. And you take some of the feedback that comes on board there to finalise the drafting of the bill. The bill is currently in its final stages of drafting. I expect it to be published within the next 3 to 4 weeks, certainly before the end of this Dáil session. I'll have the bill in more, and a lot of the detail will be contained therein, and that will be up for debate. But the premise of what I'm proposing has received enormous support. I mean, I think teachers, principals, parents in particular have reached out in huge numbers to me through various forms of media saying, well done. Somebody really needed to take a stand here and grasp the issue. Others have been less convinced and have said, look, your intentions are good, but I think you're going the wrong way about it, and that's fine as well. I have no difficulty hearing people's views. I welcome everybody's views. I don't have a monopoly of wisdom on the solution, but I certainly know I have identified a problem. That's a problem for a huge amount of people in Ireland, and at the end of the day, I'm a representative, and it's my duty to air that and bring it to the fore.
And are you confident it will be passed?
That will be up to the Oireachtas. I think there is a huge appetite out there to deal with this issue. So I think the bill will be passed in some form. There certainly may be changes. There certainly may be some amendments to it, and I'd be very, very welcome to that. But I do think that there's an unassailable appetite from particularly parents to have some sort of regulation and legislation introduced in this area to give people direction on how to deal with it.
Okay, well, I will watch that with huge interest as a parent of 2 children of 14 years apart. I can tell you that I have a huge interest, but Sophie and I have also written some online cyber safety materials for schools and also for some corporate companies. So it's certainly an issue that is hugely topical. And thank you so much for joining me on JSB Talks Digital, Deputy Jim Daly.
Thank you, Joanne.
Shoutouts.
In this part of the show, I give shout-outs to brands, organisations or individuals whose work online is remarkable and worth talking about. But in today's show, I'm sharing 3 digital citizenship tips to help you protect your child online.
1.
Educate, educate, educate. Educate yourself. There is no way you can parent in the digital age if you don't have some knowledge of the internet. It's not to say that you need to be a social web whiz, but you do have to understand the basics to make a judgment call about your son or daughter's internet activity. Educate your child. What better way to learn how to navigate the social web than by learning with your child? While they are teaching you what they know, you can teach them how to be cyber wise, just like you teach them how to be streetwise. Your role as a parent in protecting and empowering with knowledge has just expanded to include technology. You should also let your child know that it's illegal to use social networks under the age of 13, according to the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. And never stop updating your knowledge. Every day can be a digital school day. Find some reliable web sources which you can subscribe to, such as cyberwise.org.
2.
Have digital conversations openly and frequently. Speaking to your child openly about the internet and social media is healthy and recommended. Ignoring these conversations might suggest to your child that either A, you're not interested, or B, that they cannot tell you something that may be on their mind about their online activity. Just like any other areas of parenting, being open and being that trusted source of non-judgmental support is invaluable. I'm the parent of 2 children, Bobby age 7 and Sophie age 21. I parented Sophie through the digital age when Bebo and Facebook were in their infancy. I was a young mother and together we made digital citizenship a central part of our daily conversations.
3.
Agree a social media policy that you and your child sign up to. I have developed a social media contract for parents and children around social media and internet activity. I thought it was a useful way of building mutual understanding and respect for each other's views around cyber well-being. This contract should be signed by parents and any relevant children and placed in a prominent position in your household, such as the fridge door. Nothing is missed on that spot, I always find. If you would like me to send you this document, or if you would like me to speak to your school, community group, or to parents in your company about digital citizenship, simply email me to joanne@digitaltraining.ie.
Ask JSB.
Ask JSB brings the voices of my listeners onto the show. So you now have an opportunity to ask me a question, have it aired on the podcast, and I will respond. If you want to hear your voice on JSB Talks Digital, simply log on to digitaltraininginstitute.ie/Ask JSB and you might find yourself and your question on the show.
Hi Joanne, Marie-Clare from Now Media. Now Media Live, or nowmedia.live's website. I am a content creator. I get your photographs and videos seen live at your event within minutes of taking them. Now my question though, every message, every event I go to is saying that video is the way forward by 2020, by 2019, 70%, 80%, 90% of content will be consumed in video format. My question is video and vlogging going to kill traditional blogging? Will the visuals and the audio and the video replace the word, the written, the reading? Will it replace podcasts? What do you think, being a podcaster? I think it is going to, personally, I think it will reduce the amount of written content, but maybe there always is a market. But as a vlogger and blogger yourself, I would really like your opinion on this question. Will video kill blogging? Thank you.
JSB Talks Digital.
Thanks for your question, Marie-Clare, and a very relevant one it is too. Cisco are predicting that 80% of all web content will be video within 18 months. I've worked across all media over my 16-year career, from radio and print to TV and now online. I can honestly say that while video will change the way we are creating content, it will also influence more traditional methods, but not kill them off. I don't think video will completely kill blogging. It will enhance it. We will have a responsibility to deliver long-form content where people want to consume words. And remember, those words are invaluable for search engine optimization so that search engines can index appropriately. Video and audio, such as this podcast, are easy to digest media types, but they don't fulfill all needs. Sometimes we just want to sit and read an article or an opinion piece. However, I would say that I am adding more video to my blog posts and repurposing podcasts for vlogs. So that's an indication that I am reacting to the growth in video marketing. Video should be seen as a necessary part of all content creation where it can add value, but it shouldn't completely replace all traditional content pieces. Thanks for your question, Marie-Clare. There is no doubt that your business, Now Media, is going to thrive in the digital age.
Hi Joanne, it's Marie here in DigiPulse Marketing, and I had a question for you today around Facebook groups and building community on Facebook groups. What I'm interested in is how would one lay out the rules effectively and communicate those so that the group doesn't get out of hand and so that everybody is clear on what they can and they cannot do in the group. I'd love to hear your answer. Thanks, Joanne. Bye.
JSB Talks Digital.
Thanks for your question, Marie. Facebook is also trying to help us build better communities by adding new features, such as pages being able to connect to their groups, as well as being able to ask questions from prospective group members. But let me get specific in terms of managing Facebook groups to build a relevant, engaged, and happy community. Number 1, set ground rules, as you mentioned in your question. It's really important from the outset to establish the do's and don'ts of the group. Otherwise, you'll be faced with spam, shameless promotion, and just complete garbage. Your group info should contain the following sections: about, the purpose of the group, community guidelines, best practice tips, such as adding the groups to favourites and allowing push notifications for all posts. And also, don't forget to add contact details for additional queries. Remember, you are responsible for building a safe place for people to speak openly and to share ideas, news, and views. Scope out what your vision for the group will be and then share it with 3 industry insiders who you would like to have in the group. Ask them for your feedback. Sign off on your group rules and publish them in the info section. Every month, I would also remind group members of the group guidelines by sharing a link to it. Finally, if you find your community is growing quickly and you're finding it hard to manage the constant notifications, messages, and queries, it may be time to set a schedule. Just like this podcast or a TV show or a magazine, media outlets have schedules and content plans. Can you stream into your Facebook group every Monday for a live Q&A on a particular topic? I hope this helps, Marie. When you have your new Facebook group rules and guidelines written, please share them with me and I'll share them with the listeners, and we can use it as a great case study.
JSB's column.
In today's column, I'm asking why more emphasis is not being placed on educating our children about digital and social media by governments. I'm wondering if talk of digital legislation such as that proposed by Deputy Jim Daly is letting parents off the hook. I parented Sophie through her social media journey as a young mum. She was 13 and I was 30. Together we grew up with Facebook and saw how it changed our lives. But I was still the responsible adult, getting to grips with this new technology, understanding how it worked for me, but more importantly, understanding how it worked for Sophie. Fast forward 8 years and my now 7-year-old son Bobby is an avid gamer. Bobby lives in a time where social media is a fundamental way in which he will communicate. Direct and instant messaging dominated by videos, filters and text overlays. While he has a firm grip on technology, older adults may not. Sophie and I met a previous Minister for Education about the role of government and schools in providing expert training and skills in this area. However, at the time, Minister Ruairi Quinn believed this gap could be filled by the private sector. Now we have a government suggesting legislation to ban smartphones with internet access to under 14s. Last October, Sophie and I spoke at Twitter headquarters in San Francisco about digital citizenship. That is, the safe, savvy and ethical use of the internet. I opened our presentation with a tale about being suitably equipped to parent Sophie in the early noughties as she began using social media. It was this experience that both inspired and compelled me to be a proactive DigCit parent. When Sophie was 13, I wrote a social media contract for us that we both signed, and we stuck to it. We had a mutual agreement on how she would use social media and how I would respect her use of it once we kept to the rules. 8 years later, this social media contract would become a resource shared with the 300 million customers of internet security company Kaspersky Lab. Our experiences allowed us to develop resources for parents, Gen Zers, corporates and educators. But that's the private sector. That's my company stepping into a knowledge gap. Sophie and I now take to stages and boardrooms, schools and classrooms to deliver our digital citizenship messages. We are living through remarkable times, and the social web provides us with endless opportunities to connect, share, inspire, motivate, and co-create. But we must do it safely, being social web savvy, and with an ethical approach. When you empower yourself with knowledge, the fear evaporates and the passions flow. The fear I felt as a 17-year-old single parent reminds me of the fear parents feel trying to navigate the social web with their children. They feel out of their depth. But there is no need, and that's why I am filled with passion to share our positive parenting experiences with anyone who wants to listen. Sophie was central to the development of 7 modules 4 years ago that would become Young Minds Online, and which was added to a curriculum in a Galway school for 1 academic year. By road testing the resources, we were able to iterate and tailor the content for other audiences. We also saw the value in education. We empowered those teens to make better online decisions, and they thanked us for it. The speed of digital and social media change means that all of us, social savvy or not, have to keep up with the knowledge. I fear that legislation alone, or to ban internet access on smartphones for minors, is just another way of letting parents off the hook. I'd love to know your thoughts on the topic, so tweet me your views to @tweetsbyJSB. If you want to know more about developing a digital citizenship strategy for your school, your workplace, or your organisation, then please get in touch. You can drop me an email to joanne@digitaltraining.ie.
Social media tool of the week.
The tool that will save your week if you are worried about your children's cyber safety is Safe Kids from Kaspersky Lab. I have worked with Kaspersky Lab, providing them with our e-learning courses. Their mobile app allows you to monitor your children's communications wherever you are. As well as keeping watch over incoming and outgoing calls and texts on their Android phones and tablets, you can also monitor your kids' public Facebook activities. Kaspersky Safe Kids shows you your children's locations on a real-time map, plus you can define a safe area that you can expect your kids to stay within. If one of your children leaves the safe area, you'll automatically receive an alert on your mobile phone. Please note that full functionality is available for PCs, Mac computers, and Android phones and tablets. For iPhones and iPads, you can only apply age-appropriate limitations. Find out more at kaspersky.com/safe-kids. There are free options and also paid for options. Check out the details on the blog post associated with this podcast at digitaltraining.ie. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of JSB Talks Digital. I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has voted so far for my podcast in the 2017 Online Marketing in Galway Awards. The podcast is a finalist in the Best Digital Marketing category for under 10 employees. As we reach the first birthday of JSB Talks Digital, I think it's a fitting tribute for Owen and I's work. To ensure you never miss an episode, make sure you subscribe on your smartphone, on iTunes, Stitcher, or on SoundCloud. And as always, I have everything discussed on today's show on my blog at digitaltraining.ie. If you've got a burning social media or digital marketing question, be sure to send them to me at digitaltraininginstitute.ie/askJSB. I'm Joanne Sweeney Burke. This is JSB Talks Digital. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.
JSB Talks Digital.